ジョーの野郎。鬼姫が完全にぶっ潰しやがって。
Oh my god. Hello everyone, welcome to Joe Consumes Cinema. I'm your host. Listen Joe, if you ever put rocks in your gloves again, I'm gonna brain you with a rock. And today we have Ashita no Joe, episode 22. It's a really good episode last time. Had the fight between Rikishi and Joe. Circumstances were a bit off, Joe's still beaten up from his fight with Oyama. Rikishi about to get out, so, they're rushing things. Literally the inmates got in on it, had a fight just to distract everyone, so this could actually happen. And yeah, everything was just off and not what it needs to be for it actually to have meaning. Like, the two need to be in shape, prepared, with their coaches, and, like, in an actual arena that people can watch and actually enjoy it for it to actually really mean something, because this rivalry is something real, and it's much more deserving of, a fight in a dinky ring in the rain. Like, it deserves so much more than that. So I expect that Rikishi is going to get out this episode. Joe mentioned that he only has half of his sentence left. Hopefully when he hit that guard, it doesn't, translate into, a lengthier sentence. I don't think it will, but he needs to be on his best behavior so we can get out of here finally and, start actually pursuing this real career as a boxer. Dangpei's going to open up a gym. He's going to, go pro, all that good stuff. We got to get to that. And yeah, just based on the way they're setting this rivalry up between Rikishi and Joe, I think this rematch, technically, rematch the trilogy, since this fight sort of like happened, sort of didn't. It got broken up, but it still kind of counts, I think. But this could be like, the series finale ending moment where, the two finally fight again. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's what I keep seeing in the opening credits. Like, Rikishi looks a little bit different. Joe looks more or less the same, but Rikishi has, longer hair, and he looks like a lot more wild, so maybe when he goes back pro, he gets a little bit more savage. I could be, like, overly reading into that, or that could be, a completely different character. It's totally possible. I honestly don't know. But yeah, I am super eager to get to this one, but before we begin, as always, remember to blank, blank, and blank. Still very much a small channel, so every like, comment, share, subscribe that we can get really helps out. Really appreciate it. Patreon link down below. With that, let's get right to it. Sando baguni kao megake tatake 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 ashite wa kiito ashite wa dochira. He's in a suit.
どうした？力士。いえね、太陽がやたら眩しいんですよ。
The Legendary Rikiishi Toru.
陽子さん、いや、白木家のお世話でボクシング界にカムバックすることになったんだが。
いや早速出ましたね。陽子さんによろしく。何しやがるこ。
バカ。すっかり調子に乗りやがって、くだらねえ冷やかしなんか言ってねえで、最後のたごとを聞いてやれってんだよ。
力士さん、どうせなら世界チャンピオンぐらいになってくれよ。そんならよ、俺たちも鼻が高いからよ。
じゃあ、みんな元気でな。
じゃあさよなら。
力士
Was wondering when that would happen.
ジョー、そういえばおめえとはまだ別れの挨拶をしてなかったな。
さすが模範生。それだけごまをするのがうまけりゃ、シャバへ出ても少年帰りだなんてバレなくて済むぜ。へへ。
やめろ。ちょいと話をするだけです。
お話だ。へっ。よしてくれ気取りやがって。もっとも俺流の生き方ってのがあるんだけどよ。へへ。力士。聞いてやろうじゃねえか。
聞くところによれば、この間の対決の時、お前のグローブには石ころが詰まってたそうだな。
へっ、バレちまったんじゃ仕方がねえや。その通りだぜ。
いずれはお前もここを出る時が来るんだろう。そしてあの段平さんの話だと、お前も俺と同じプロボクサーになるっていうじゃねえか。その時によ、もし石ころを使わねえでも互角に戦える自信ができたら訪ねてこい。その時はまた遊んでやるぜ。それまで元気でな。
That's pretty cool.
力士
ああ、だいぶ変わりましたね。驚きました。
そうじゃろ。
明日から早速トレーニングよ。気の毒だけど。
とんでもない、当然のことです。プロのリングが目の前にあるんです。長いブランクを早く取り戻さなくては。
明日から頑張ってね。力石君、まず日本チャンピオンが目標よ。
ええ、過去のものになるかどうか、そいつはおめえ次第だぜ、ジョー。俺は逃げも隠れもしねえ。
それじゃあみんなここらで決勝戦の賭けを始めるからな。
俺は第6両だ。
俺もだ。俺もだ。
Yeah, Joe lost his main competition, so it's like, who the hell's left? Joe might be having a harder time because he lost his rival. It was like one of the things he was looking forward to was actually fighting the guy.
そろそろトレーニングや。練習場行って一汗かこうか。
西、悪いが先に行ってくれねえか。よー、青、どうしたいこんなところで何してんだよ。
ええ、ちょっと。
なんだ矢吹、お前こそどうしたんだこんな時間に。
今君確かボクシングの練習時間じゃなかったのかね。
そう、俺は今度の決勝戦は出場を取りやめることにしたんでね。
え？
それはいいか。
どうして？
どうしてって力士がいなくなった今、君まで欠場したら試合が盛り上がらんじゃないか。
へっ。
青に聞いた。一体どういうこっちゃ。
どうにもなんねってんだよ。
力士かいな。
あいつがいねえと思うと、とてもリングへ登る気なんか起きねえんだよ。どうにもなんねってんだよ。俺は今一体どうなっちまってるんだろうな。
決勝戦とはいえなんと寂しい試合になったもんな。みんなも表面でははしゃいでるけど、心からはしゃいでる者が何人いることやら。ジョーと力士、この二人が作り出したボクシングブームも片割れが退院したことによって下火になってしもうたんやな。
I don't think so.
矢吹さん。
He's getting out too?
よう、青山じゃねえか。なんでその格好は。
長い間お世話になりました。
退院するのか。青。
ええ、矢吹さんもお元気で。じゃあ。
おい、待てよ。ちょっと待てよ、青。本当かよ。
ええ、2日前に通知を受けたんです。本当は僕、矢吹さんにお願いがあったんですが。
なんだいそりゃ。遠慮するなよ。俺にできることなら何でもやってやるぜ。
それじゃあ、もう一度僕にリングの上でのかっこいい姿を見せてくださいませんか。実は僕、もうリング上の矢吹さんを見られないのかと思って、とても心残りだったんですよ。
Ah, Nishi. Here we go. Don't get distracted. Oh, God. There you go.
まともに戦えるかどうかわからないけどよ。青と約束しまったんでな。
おい、あれはジョーじゃねえか。あ、もう本当だ。はいじゃあ、かっこいいとこで頼むぜ。
This is gonna be a slaughter. This dude's a red shirt. Oh. Is Joe throwing the fight? No, he's just getting pissed off. And there it is. Now you're dead. That was a good goodbye present.
こうして予定通り両対抗ボクシング試合は行われた。力石の退院によってもう一つ盛り上がらなかった決戦もジョーの華々しい登場によって少年院は沸き返った。
明日を目指して立て立て
tate, tate, Tatsunda Joe. Okay, I took some time just to gather my thoughts. Episode 22, another really good one. Rikishi gets out, says his farewells to everybody. Is literally about to leave, and then, Joe has to say his farewell to him. Puts his fist up like he's gonna fight, throws a few punches. Rikishi dodges them, effortlessly, and then says something to Joe to the effect of, I'll be waiting for you if you ever do get out and Dangpei manages to actually make you into a real fighter. When you think you can finally fight me without those rocks in your gloves, come find me. Slaps him on his back, Joe stumbles, and then he walks through the gates. They close, Joe chases after him, and then right as the door slams shut, Joe can't get to him. So Miss Shiraki and her grandfather take Rikishi to Tokyo, give him a nice meal. He's about to start, heavy training. His initial goal is to become the, world champion boxer, I guess, of lightweight in Japan. So that's his first initial goal, like knock off the ring rust, get back to heavy training, get that gold in Japan. Once you have that, that's a springboard for, challenging for, world belts. Rikishi's happy to get out and all that. Things have changed since he was last out, and they're talking, and he's basically saying, yeah, I'm not really thinking too much of the past anymore, but, in the back of his mind, he still has Joe there, and, the potential in the future where he actually does get out, becomes a pro boxer, and, the two of them get to meet in the ring. So, yeah, they're really setting this up where at some point, season finale type stuff where Rikishi and Joe finally get that rematch, the third trilogy fight. Once Rikishi leaves, it kind of, extinguishes Joe's fire. His main rival, the person that he looks forward to fighting, someone that really challenges him, and if he can get that victory over him, it'll mean a lot. The rest of the guys, passionate about boxing and all that, but there's no real talent, so to speak of, besides Rikishi and Joe, so it's really not much of a competition, and it gets boring for him. Rikishi gets out, and then Oyama, a few days after that, also follows suit. He has one cool final request from Joe, just as a parting gift, and that's to see Joe's, victorious stance in the ring once more. Joe had dropped out of the tournament just because, again, it's just too boring and easy for him. There's no one there to give him a real challenge. Because of Oyama's request, he, goes back in the ring one more time. Initially is, very rusty and, not super passionate about it, but the guy that he's up against manages to hit him a bunch of times, knocks him down. And that's what, pisses him off, reignites the fire. And then he imagines in his mind that, he's facing Rikishi again, and this gets him really motivated. He gets up and, pieces that guy, like, so easily. Joe easily wins the tournament, but, the fire is reignited. Also, Nishi is boxing, too, so that's cool. Like, that's what I thought. We had no confirmation up until this point, but yeah. He's been boxing alongside Joe, trying to train with him. And yeah, he's fighting, too. So I think my theory that, Oyama, Nishi, Joe, and, potentially others too, are going to end up at Dangpei's gym. We got a rare little bit from the narrator, like kind of hinting at a potential time skip because Rikishi's out, Oyama's out. Joe has time left on the clock for, his sentence, but we might get a little bit of a time skip to where, we fast forward and he actually just ends up getting out next episode. I could totally see that happening. I don't see what's really left for him to do in here. Other than, Dangpei shows up and he trains him more, but they could easily just, time skip and then he's out and he starts learning, the other lessons. He's learned everything up to 7. Dangpei talked about him learning, all 15, so apparently there are 15 total lessons. Yeah, it was another really good one in the books, just setting up, the main storyline here where, eventually we're going to get that rematch between Rikishi and Joe. Look forward to it. I think it's going to be really good. I see, season finale show ending potential with that, so I think that's what they're driving at, and makes a ton of sense in the boxing world, so it totally fits. But yeah, that's all I can think to say for now, so as always, thanks for watching, and peace.